This is Ruby. Ruby is our resident corn snake, and she is a constrictor. Constrictors are snakes that squeeze their food in order to kill their prey. They are typically not venomous, so they do not inject any venom into their prey to kill it. Instead, they bite it, and they actually squeeze their food to death by suffocating it. So, a few features we'll talk about with Ruby here. If you look closely, you will notice her jaw as she is eating her mouse here. Her jaw does expand, however, they are not hinged the same as a human jaw. So they do not dislocate their jaw like some people say to actually consume their food. Instead, they just expand their jaw, and they have special muscles and ligaments that allow them to open up that jaw very wide to swallow that mouse whole. You will also notice that Ruby is swallowing her food from head to tail. There are a couple reasons for this. One is the direction of the fur on the mouse she's eating. She does not want to swallow it against the grain because it's going to be hard to swallow that way. But the other reason is the feet and the tail will go down much smoother if she swallows it from head to tail. So constrictors will swallow their food from head to tail after they've killed it. What allows her to actually hold on to that prey item, or that little white mouse you see, are her recurved teeth. So if we were to open up Ruby's mouth, and you look at her teeth are actually curved backwards like little fishing hooks. So they're recurved is what we call them. But that actually allows them to grab their prey, hold onto it, and grab it so tight that the prey cannot actually back itself out after it's been grabbed a hold of and bitten onto. So those recurved teeth are helpful for biting and holding onto their prey. So Ruby is just about done with her little mouse snack here. You will notice as she is getting towards the back half of the mouse, you will start to see her throat muscles move a lot more and work a lot harder. That is because she needs to pass the mouse now from her mouth and her throat down into her stomach. So that's going to take a lot of muscles to get that mouse down in there. And here in just a little bit, all you will see is just the tip of the tail hanging out. So she's getting very close to being done. One thing we do want to be mindful of, and this is something that we watch out for every time we feed our snakes, you will notice that she's got a little bit of bedding stuck to her mouse. So there are some coconut fibers and some small chips that are stuck to the mouse there. We want to make sure that when she eats that mouse, those wood chips actually work their way out of her mouth as best as possible, because they can have trouble digesting those. So that is one thing I want to watch for here. Is she is eating. In the wild, generally they will eat it in a relatively clean place. It's not going to be coated in coconut fibers like you see here. Obviously they'll eat it in the grass, or maybe in an open field or something where there's not going to be that much concern about what they consume. So that bedding can back up in her stomach, so we just want to keep a watchful eye out for that. One benefit that constrictors have is that they don't have to eat very often. So with Ruby, the size that she is at, she generally eats about once a week to once every 2 weeks, depending on how hungry she is. But we feed our snakes every Tuesday, so we have them on a pretty strict schedule as far as their eating schedule is concerned. So our fox snake, our milk snake, our hognose snake, and our corn snake, all of which are constrictors, eat on Tuesdays. So two of those snakes, the fox snake and the corn snake, get full-grown mice, and the hognose snake and the milk snake get baby mice, or what we call pinkies. So we've given Ruby some time to rest here, and she has started to digest that mouse. Again, it's going to take her a while to digest, and she will eat again hopefully next Tuesday. But let's talk a little bit more about constrictors. If we look at Ruby here, you'll notice a few things about her. She likes to wrap herself around lots of things. It's kind of an innate snake behavior. They just do that in general, but constrictors do it in particular because that's how they grab a hold of their prey. They're very strong, very muscular snakes. They don't have to rely on venom to catch their food, so you'll notice she wraps around my hands a lot. A couple more things about Ruby just in general. If you look at her stomach, that is where she gets her name corn snake, because her stomach looks like it has little pieces of maize or corn on it. You will also notice that Ruby is flicking her tongue at the camera kind of over and over again. Snakes do have forked tongues, and the reason for those forked tongues is actually so they can collect particles and chemicals and things from the air, which are then transmitted into an organ that is inside their mouth so they can tell what things are around them. So what she's doing is actually exploring the camera, probably because she's never seen one before or smelled one before. There's a certain scent on there that she's trying to pick up. Let's recap on our constrictors before we end our video here. The first thing we discussed was how they actually eat their prey. They kill their food, whether it be mice or voles or moles or other small birds or organisms that are similar to those, by squeezing them. So constrictors squeeze their prey to death, and then they consume them whole, and they always eat their prey from head to tail or front to back because it goes down easier that way. Snakes do not chew their food. They swallow it whole, using that jaw that expands with those special ligaments and muscles and all the muscles in their throat and in their stomach to help work that food item down. So the last thing I'm going to mention, we do get lots of questions about venomous snakes in Iowa. We only have 4 of them. We have Massasauga rattlesnakes, timber rattlesnakes, prairie rattlesnakes, and copperheads, all of which are very uncommon and you're unlikely to encounter them. You really cannot distinguish between venomous snakes and constrictors very easily. Some people say, oh, venomous snakes have slitted eyes and they have pointed heads and they have pits in their face. Well, there are lots of constrictors, like boa constrictors, that have pits on their head as well. There are species of venomous snakes that have round eyes and rounded heads. So there's a lot of overlap there. So those resources that say, oh, if they have slit eyes and a pointed head and pits in their face, then they're 100% venomous. That is absolutely not true. So do not follow those resources. But you are free to visit our nature center anytime you'd like. We do still have indoor facilities and our reptile room closed due to coronavirus issues. But if you are interested in doing a private tour or a socially distanced tour, we can set something up for you. If you have any questions about snakes, please feel free to comment in the comment section below. If you do have any other questions for us, you can contact us here at Calkins Nature Area. Our phone number is 641-648-9878, or you can visit our website, hardincountyconservation.com, to learn more about snakes and see some of our other videos. So thank you for watching, and we would appreciate if you subscribe and leave your comments below.